You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform, and here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first. It's brought to you by Bank of Ghana, as strong as a group and close as a partner. MTN everywhere you go. Ashesi University, educating ethical and entrepreneurial leaders for Africa. Robert & Sons, seeing is believing. Waylead, home is where you start from. Star Assurance, your solid partner. Duroplus, where Duroplus goes, water flows. DBS Industries and MG Auto Trading, official distributors of MG vehicles in Ghana. I'd like to say good morning to Dr. Insia Sare, who joins us on the issue that we will deal with right after this CHRAJ matter. And we will be dealing with the CHRAJ matter very briefly because it's a matter that will be gone into by the CHRAJ itself. Now, let me share some of your views here. And this one, Ennis says that there is no need to legislate IPAC. I think it needs to be broadened to include all the arms of government and civil society, parliament, judiciary, police, army, Christian council, Muslim community, and all the core fiber of society. By the above, the decisions reached become the moral aspirations of the country, and it will be difficult for a parochial interest to be eminent. Interesting view there. Yakubu Ibn Chambers says, I would like to add to the suggestions posited by four learned panelists that there is got to be a dialogue between the two giant parties on the survival of electoral reform system. Okay, whether we like it or not, a third force of a party is going to emerge to ride on the foundation built by NDC and MPP. So that's a suggestion there from Yakubu Ibn Chambers. Then let me bring in what you have been tweeting to us. You call yourself Yesumo. The legal light is right. The Constitution is the problem. It allows the executive to abuse it and go unpunished. The president knew this rule, yet Mrs. Charles Osei was booted out of office because of this same frivolous grounds. Ghana is the loser. Baba, chairman in Tamale, says, why is the NDC trying very hard to arrogate powers of determining which parties must be at IPAC or not? The NDC was invited to participate in the processes at IPAC on several occasions, but they flatly refused, only to turn around and accuse the EC. Collins Little Tete says, above the policies, laws, government, and the Constitution, there is a higher principle. That is the principle of individual integrity, without which, no matter how many policies and laws we create, we cannot ensure health, safety, and sanity in the country. Kofi Amwa says, why should someone think twice when an advisory body has to be institutionalized? Are we saying we don't need advice in this country again? No wonder a president is not bound by the decisions of the Council of State, whose responsibility it is to advise the president. K. Amofa says, I'm simply tired of Ghana creating committees, agencies, commissions, special vehicles for almost every problem, and yet all our problems remain unsolved. Regarding inter-party advisory discussions, I am of the view an existing entity be made to handle it. The proposals from the NDC, according to DGraft Ajax, a proposal from the NDC are good and will help improve our democracy. Because it is coming from the NDC, a party that is seen as a quote-unquote threat to our democracy. According to Deputy Commissioner Bosman, the EC is finding ways and means to quash it. Okay, so we will find time and read some more of your messages. But let's quickly just listen to Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, who is one of 2 MPs who have taken a petition or a complaint to CHRAJ asking for investigations into the deaths that occurred in the 2020 elections and the injuries as well. Let's listen to him quickly and come to look at the issue.
We have reviewed the videos. We have footage that we have compiled. And in carrying out this work, we have been amazed at the level of evidence available that for more than 7 months, the police, our national security apparatus we claim to be investigating, cannot even give us an update. The number of video footage, the volume of video footage from you in the media, I mean, JoyNews has been fantastic. I mean, if you look at Techiman South, you look at Ablekuma Central, you have footage. I mean, amateur productions. In this digital age, people have smartphones and they are always capturing what is going on. All of this available, and yet officialdom claims to be investigating and yet not a word. I hold in my hands here the statement that the National Election Security Task Force issued on the 10th of December, where they confirmed the killings. At the time, they said 5 deaths recorded during the election 2020. But somebody like Ibrahim Abbas of Ablekuma Central was battling for his life. Subsequently, he died. So the numbers went up. But this is their own statement, the 10th December 2020 statement. The National Election Security Task Force deems the incidents recorded to be incidents that could have been avoided, and therefore condemns their occurrence and promises to investigate each of them. First of all, as members,
you don't believe the police will do a good job?
As members of parliament,
right.
We've run our checks. We don't believe there's any credible investigation going on.
You don't believe there's any credible investigation going on?
We don't believe there's any credible investigation.
The Ghana Police Service is not investigating the death
there is no,
recorded during the election?
There is no credible investigation going on. And we do not even think that the police should be investigating itself in this matter. In a matter that they are so culpable, so guilty as sin. We do not believe that they should be investigating themselves. It's so incestuous. The conflict of interest is glaring. We take the view that CHRAJ is an independent body. It has no vested interest. It is neutral. It is far removed from these matters. And they have the constitutional mandate. They should be allowed to investigate.
Right, so they have filed that complaint to CHRAJ. And among other things, they indicate to us the evidence that in Techiman South, a lot of things happened. And the resultant actions, there were deaths. 39-year-old Tajuddin Al-Hassan and 18-year-old Abdallah Ayarek. Apart from this, in Techiman South, there were also people who were, they say, were assaulted unlawfully by the officers and battered in front of the Brochipim Hall, close to the Techiman Municipal Assembly. And those who were injured include Al-Hassan Nasiru, Abubakar Idris, Paul Esu, Shaibu Bani, Jadal Haq Idris, Armial Al-Hassan, and Suleimana Iliesu. Then in the Odododio constituency, they talk about the acts of uniformed officers resulting in the deaths of these 2 persons, 36-year-old Emmanuel Dompre and 15-year-old Rita Otu. There were also other acts there. They talk about Savilugu, where these people also, unfortunately, they say were shot and killed. 14-year-old Samira Zakaria and 15-year-old Fuseni Musa. Ablekuma Central constituency, they talk about 30-year-old Ibrahim Abbas, who was shot dead, and a level 300 student journalist at the Ghana Institute of Journalism by name Pius Kwanin Esiedu, who was also shot and injured. In fact, that journalist who works with the Newswatch has undergone one unsuccessful surgery and is going to go through another. As you know, the person who is alleged to have shot him, known to be a national security officer stationed at the presidency, is on bail, and the matter has been adjourned a number of times because the judge is indisposed or that the prosecutor has not been available to do a number of things. So they say citizens cannot be killed, and the country remains completely mute, particularly leadership, about these deaths, as if they don't matter at all. So they want CHRAJ to do a number of things and give them some compensation. Apart from that, they say they want these reliefs. Let me read them. That the violations of fundamental rights and freedoms of the persons mentioned in the complaint, unfair treatment meted out to the persons, the injustice caused to them, and the abuse of power clearly exhibited by the Ghana Police Service and Ghana Armed Forces. They want all of that dealt with. Right. Martin, how do you see this playing out? And the petitioners are Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, MP, North Tongue, and Emmanuel Ama Kofi Boa.
Excellent. Well, so my reaction is that it's commendable. The petition is commendable because if not for anything at all, it brings back this issue of the deaths to the front burner. You see, yes, because you see now we're having a conversation about it, and this is quite a huge platform. So it means that it will send a signal to the duty bearers, the investigators, that look, the public hasn't forgotten about this. So they have to be up and doing. I remember at the Kudeo Forum, Dr. Ibn Chambers gave a very moving speech about it. He just couldn't, bring himself to accept that these persons had died and yet weren't doing much. I still remember it very fresh in my mind. And I think that it's good they've done this petition so that we will quicken our steps. Yeah, you know, you and I go to court. We know that ordinarily murder cases take long to investigate, generally. The general terrain, when you are involved in murder case, some of them 4 years and the case will not even have come to trial, okay? But it's not a reason for us to just assume that every case will take 3 years, 4 years before it comes to trial. It's good that from time to time, citizens make noise, citizens agitate, so that it helps. Because if we just keep quiet, there's a tendency to also relax. Because sometimes you may well even find that the investigator is gone on peacekeeping duties. So that further stalls the investigations. But when citizens agitate like this, and then these are even opinion leaders, the two MPs, Okudzeto and Honorable Kofi Boa, that helps for the police administration to also check whether everything is going according to their schedule.
But beyond prosecution, we had a juror recently.
Yeah.
The Fix the Country guy, Muhammad Kaka, who was murdered.
Yeah.
And then it took the youth to get on the streets,
Yes.
and something else happened. We set up a committee to look at it.
Yes. Yeah.
Are you saying that in these circumstances too, we wanted the youth in those areas to get up in demonstrations before, violent demonstrations before we did something about it?
Not at all, not at all. As for the jury, I'm sure now, we all understand generally that the regional minister and his outfit, the regional security, Rexec was very inept, very, very inept. That's why I'm surprised the regional minister is still at post. You heard him saying he ordered that the soldiers should go there. Very, very, very inept. I'm surprised he's still at post, okay? Yeah, so that one, we can single it out as incompetence of the regional minister, and that's not what we expect everywhere. This particular one, you see, the CHRAJ thing, you remember you just even this morning read out the section 13. So the problem is that because the police have not officially closed the dockets, it's beginning to look, appear to me that CHRAJ may be headed in that direction that the police are investigating. Coupled with the fact that for murders, as I've said from experience in court, it takes years. we are not saying that should continue.
The police have not informed Ghanaians
Good.
in any coordinated formal fashion
Perfect.
that they are investigating the killing of 7 people during the elections and others who were wounded and all. They haven't done that.
Perfect.
We know of at least 2 isolated situations where the police is pursuing.
Yes, yes. So in this case, I think that maybe you can send your journalist down to talk to COP Ken Yebua. He's very open. I've been there recently a number of times. He's usually very open.
Shouldn't they be the ones to be organizing frequent, presses to inform the country? Because it's unprecedented that 7 people die in an election.
Yes.
It hasn't happened.
Yes, you are right. What you're also saying should be the ideal one. But when you go to see COP Kenyebua, you see a long queue, the pressures. Police, this ties in with the fact that the police are grossly under-resourced. And they are in terms of being grossly under-resourced, the first thing is their numbers. We have 1 policeman to about 900 citizens, when the UN recommends that it should be 1 policeman to about 500. So because the numbers are down, you need to put in a lot more. That's why I'm commending the 2 MPs for doing it. Because as soon as you generate the conversation, then it informs the police that, look, they have to hurry up, because otherwise very soon citizens will start agitating, like what happened in Nigeria.
But you were saying that maybe CHRAJ will not be able to go into the ones that the police is working on that we know.
Yes.
Why? Ejura, they are even before court. But there was a committee set up and they investigated it.
Yes, so the committee, as far as I understand, was to find the circumstances, leading to the unrest and all that. That doesn't take away the remit. For those in court, it's about the death. So for now, I don't want to say murder or manslaughter. So let's just say the death. As whichever one it is, later the Attorney General will advise. So the court is not going into the circumstances about the violence and the riots, so that we can separate. Yes.
Okay. Yes, Alex. What do you say?
I think that there is a darker picture which concerns me. The level of impunity that exists or appears to exist in our body politic is extremely, extremely worrying. Once you appear to have links with government, any investigative process or any stalls to the point of non-existence. I stand to be corrected, but I'm told that the issue with Hawa Kumsin, a decision has come out and they are not going to further investigate it. They were investigating the shooting, and I believe that...
The shooting that she admitted.
Yes. It's now been cleared. And how do you expect it to be seen differently?
Are you sure about this?
Well,
that the police...
Yeah, I saw something on the net.
I saw something.
They are not investigating
that's why I said,
further?
That is cleared.
that's why I said I stand to be corrected. But I've already read it on the net.
Yes.
No, but we should be careful. We should be very careful in this country.
Okay.
Imagine that she's not who she is. And she was an ordinary citizen. Yeah. Where will she be now? Perhaps she will not be on bail. And the people are watching these things.
Let's also be careful because we don't know it's true.
Yes, but I'm saying that supposing this is true.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So, assuming it is true, it creates a problem for us in terms of this level of impunity that we have. And the other issue with that is that, look, under President Kufuor, when an issue came up with regard to Honorable Anani, he was asked to vacate his position. They didn't replace anybody, but he was not imposed, in inverted commas. Yeah. We have questions with that, but in inverted commas. At least on paper, he was not at post. Yes. The investigation was carried out by CHRAJ. He was cleared, he was reinstated. Under President Mills, Dr. Sipayanki was the Minister of Health. This issue came out for further investigation. He had to relinquish his position. He was replaced by Honorable Kumbo. Subsequently, he was cleared, and he became the boss for the Ghana Gas. In this case, where an investigation is going on, the reward is that you now become a cabinet minister, while an investigation is deemed to be going on. That is there. There are numerous examples, and this is just another area. It is even bigger because There are even question marks as to
Your
who
party, the minority, are in parliament. They approved it, didn't they?
That's it.
Well, I raise my hands. I'm not going to even argue on that issue. But that's why I say that there are issues with regard to our whole body politic with regard to impunity. Because that is one particular issue that we can't come to terms with. Not that the person cannot be cleared, but in the manner and what occurred, it should not even have been a nomination there, let alone a subsequent approval.
Okay.
And that is my position. I'm not speaking now for the party, or this is my position as a lawyer, looking at the issues that have occurred.
And that's a reasonable position.
It is, the truth of the matter is that it is one of many things which the government itself seems to be accepting. Here's a situation where we've had, in terms of deaths, the worst election ever. Because I think a total of 7 or 8 people have actually died in this election. Under this document or this case at CHRAJ, we have a total of 7 dead and a total of 8 people injured. We are not going into the injured in Ayasu West Wogon, where that also, people were injured. We all watched on telly the evidence. It's not they say, or we are reading a document. We all had the evidence, we all had the recommendation. Till date, who has been sanctioned? One of the issues that was raised there was even the construction of the nature of the security agencies. And it is significant that as one of our recommendations in the electoral process, you will see that we have recommended that we want to get a clear, documented structure of security during elections. Because one minute is the police are supposed to be here, the national security has got its act, the army has got, nobody is clear who, when the time comes, nobody is clear who's responsible. We heard it at the Commissioner of Inquiry at Ayasu West Wogon, where the police officer said, I didn't give the order. The Minister of State is supposed to have given an order. The military were not aware of what was going on. People from national security appear. What is their role? Armed to the teeth? So this whole issue is bigger than just this petition. We are in a bad place. As far as I'm concerned, we are in a very bad place with regard to the level of impunity that our people appear to be going through. And much as
you are a major opposition. Don't you have a voice? Couldn't you?
That is why we have this program.
Couldn't you have been asking for something in some, as it were, consistent form? It took the Lembele MP and the North Tongue MP to do this. Otherwise, as usual, we would be sweeping this under the carpet, moving on as if everything is fine.
No, but you must admit that we've had press conference and press conference. In fact, one of the big issues against the NDC is that we have too many press conferences. But we can't keep up with the number of, or the things that are happening in this country on a weekly basis. Forget monthly. On a weekly basis, something always crops up, which you have to deal with. And we cannot be blamed. Everything that is being done is taking the rule book and stretching the
so this is good. This
fantastic move by the 2 MPs. They have done well.
All right.
Where we go with it or what happens to it is another issue. And I take the point you put on board. The quickest cases in law, as you all know, are criminal cases. And criminal cases which are of violence should actually also be the quickest. As for the ones which involve fraud and theft and all that, because of the paperwork involved, they take longer. But crime or violence, crimes of violence are quicker.
All right. We have Professor Kweti still with us for a brief on this, and then we reconstitute our panel. Professor Kweti, what do you say about this? Hello, Dr. Kweti.
I commend the petitioners, the 2 MPs. I thought this is something that should have happened earlier. And I'm saying it from the perspective of the recurring problem, probably acceptable practice that we should entertain electoral violence impunity and injustice. This is the reason why peace parks came about, and we got involved in that. And the trend is getting worse. So for lawmakers, representatives of those who are unfortunately lost their lives, to come up and say, no, now we're going to CHRAJ. CHRAJ is significant in two ways. If you ask the police why all these cases are not investigated, they'll tell you that, you know what, the dockets go through the attorney generals and it has to be cleared. And sometimes you don't get the feedback. There are times when you've engaged the attorney general, the lawyers, they will tell you that the dockets need a lot more investigation for a credible prosecution to take place and all that. So, and then you're also told that the attorney general or the minister of interior, the resources are not even made available for those investigations to go on and so on, because it's squarely in the politics zone. But now that they've gone to court, for me, if there is no other case which they will stop CHRAJ from going forward, I truly think that this opens up opportunity to interrogate the administrative and human rights dimensions of what happens and why state institutions must act. For example, if administrative decision was not taken at the AG's level for the case, the prosecution to take place, I believe that CHRAJ could call the Attorney General or his representative and interrogate what happened. And we might know the truth. The same applies to the Minister of Interior, including even the IGP. There are times the police have told you that investigations are stalled because they don't have the resources to even move. The CID says those things. So I think it's another dimension. It opens probably a more effective way of getting into things that the court cannot handle easily, which is that what are the administrative factors that are now disabled. And so because of politics, people can lose their lives and nothing happens. And it is encouraging. In 2012, when this thing started, impunity, the peace pact and so on, we did not have any number of deaths. In this election, it's gone up to 7. Who knows? So the only thing I would have wished is that it would not just be seen as 2 MPs from opposition. I thought that, again, a bipartisan thing would go, because there, much as there is talency, there is also, I also war God. And I think these are things that the parties should come together to help implement. And it takes the two parties, really, to make it.
I don't even know how you were going to get a bipartisan thing, because I remember that, one of the deputy speakers has been heavily criticized for actually suggesting that these whatever deaths did not really matter. Yes. Joe or something like that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But this time it's gone to CHRAJ. And you know, if CHRAJ goes and investigates, I'm praying CHRAJ is able to initiate investigations, because then we would know what really happens at those levels. And sanctions, I mean, they can be mentioned. It's Parliament that approves ministers. So if there's a CHRAJ report, it will be good that Parliament looks at it. Parliament approves budgets. So they can talk to the police. We need to get into that maze, because there isn't much light in what happens, why we cannot get justice, prosecutions and justice done in these matters of electoral violence.
All right. Thank you so very much, Dr. Emmanuel Akwete, Executive Director of the IDEC. Thank you so very much. He takes leave of us now. Dr. Asa Sante also has left us. We will take a quick break and return to see whether Agenda 111, such a good idea, will stand the test of procurement scrutiny. Issues are being raised, including the design, how we procured the design for architectural designs for it. We'll be right back.